Yes, we started, and here we are back at it with our guest Ivan Oyola from Phoenix, Arizona, and once again we will be once again bothering the internet with our with our thoughts and our topics here. So Ivan, thanks for having been here once again.
Sure, no problem. We spoke the other day to get ready for this, and I went ahead and listened to the last interview to make sure you actually, you know what, we covered a lot of stuff on that other interview. We talked a lot of things, and you still had a few things left on your list to cover. So hopefully we can take care of that today.
Yeah, hopefully that would be the case. And yes, it was a very interesting conversation. As you said, we covered lots of topics, and I just if people are interested, they can go and listen to our first conversation that we have. We'll try to get on with the second part. Let's see if we can talk about another couple of few things more, few more things.
Some more occulted knowledge, huh? Things that people don't know about.
Yeah, exactly. And it's about de-occulting this knowledge, because the time has come to put this stuff into the light, so that we actually start get a real understanding of how reality works, and maybe just maybe we can start to set the pieces in motion to move out of the current situation. And I actually like to start off with one reflection I actually made actually a few days ago. About the law of freedom. Like, as morality decreases, freedom decreases, and as morality increases, also does freedom. So I actually thought it's kind of pretty much the same thing with awareness and consciousness. And because I was out of town for work, and it was a clear day, clear blue sky. There weren't any clouds, but the sky was starting to be crisscrossed with pretty much evident chemtrails.
That's clouds, man. Those are clouds. That's regular stuff from the plane.
That's condensation from
condensation trails. Yeah,
condensation trails. And
conspiracy theorist, you.
Yeah, exactly. And they were actually even real low and real evident. There wasn't any other cloud formation, and you just see the people there, not looking up, just walking as if everything it's normal, and it is for them probably. So I actually, this thought came into my mind that maybe as awareness and consciousness decreases and is brought, low at the lowest point, they can actually do things. The more things they can do to you in your face and evident, and people will just stay, passive and apathetic. So.
Yeah, I think it sounds like you're along the lines of coming up with as consciousness and awareness or knowledge decreases. I don't know, what can we call it?
The more, yeah.
The more false reality can be accepted as real, right? Or something. The easier it is for the lies to manifest, to be in front of our faces, and the higher the consciousness, the more awareness we have and less ignorance. Yeah. It's harder for the lies to get by. So the easier it is to see truth. So kind of, I guess that kind of
Yeah,
parallel.
I guess just thought that I have thinking about the law of freedom, and yeah. So it seems that this is unfortunately, sadly, the case. Now we have consciousness that it's probably one of the lowest points, and
Yep.
people are willing to be subjected to all sorts of things that they can do, even in an evident and clear way. Uh, and
Well, one good thing is that you noticed it. See, so that is one of the kind of positive and also sad parts of it is, it's positive that the control has less of a hold on your mind, but it's sad that you can see it, and when you see it, it shows you how many other people around you don't see it. It shows how much more the separation is, the gap is between those of us who see it and then everybody else.
Yes, exactly. And well, the only thing we can do is try to spread some more of this awareness.
Keep chipping away. Yeah, keep chipping away piece by piece. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, we don't know how much time we have. So that's the big one of the other big questions. But and speaking about that, even the whole chemtrail phenomenon, etc. We talk about that also in the first part. It's actually, this is not done by the controllers, the elites themselves, but
the order followers. Yeah.
Exactly. Then the operatives there that will mindlessly do what they're told, as we said, mainly for two reasons: the belief in authority and the belief in money, as we said the other time.
That's right.
So yeah, and talking about a little bit about this order follower dynamic. I actually I remember that you had some some experience in the let's say in the order follower forces, and
the cult of order followers, I think, as
yeah,
Pascal says it, right?
yeah, the cult the cult of ultimate evil.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that experience, the service in the military, and what role, if it actually had played some sort of a role in your journey, in your awakening process. Now maybe thinking back to that period, you have some more insight, even if at that time maybe you didn't you didn't know various things and link the various dots, but maybe in retrospect, do you have some
right in hindsight? Yeah, looking back. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I was young when I joined the military. I joined the Marine Corps here in America, and the kind of the regular, typical, dumb teenage thing. I was 19, and I had a friend from high school that joined the Marine Corps, and I had a job, just regular little part-time job stuff, but I went ahead and followed him in. And it's an interesting kind of fun story. I did what's called delay entry program. So I signed up in July of 1990, and I was still 19 years old. So I signed up in a delayed entry program for the Marine Corps, just following my friend, and he already went in a few months earlier, and I was like, oh, cool, I'll do that too. So delayed entry program, July of 1990, delayed for about 6 months to go in December of 1990. So that was July 20 something of 1990. And then on August 2nd of 1990 is when Saddam allegedly invaded Kuwait. So that whole first, Iraq, Kuwait thing started happening. and I was already locked in. You know, I had already signed the papers and done the sorcery thing of, you know, signing on paper and dotted line and taking whatever oath thing. Oh yeah, I uphold the Constitution. I'll go in, and so they, you know, their
you already,
sorcery.
yeah.
They kind of had me by the balls, like, oh, you already signed a contract. You already signed a contract to serve, you know, 4-year contract.
Because you
So I
have
was
to
like,
do, you did that in advance, like.
I think, I'm not sure about the swearing in. This was years ago. It was like 28 years ago. But I know they kind of had me already, because I had already signed a delayed entry. We already had that agreement. I was going in, and, you know, so I remember 19 years old. I graduated high school. So I went through their indoctrination programs and stuff. I had a little bit, you know, ideas of my own, but, you know, I really didn't know anything. So that happened. I signed July, August, Middle East thing happens. December, I go into boot camp. And even then I was resistant. I was trying to get out of it. You know, I never really told many people about it, especially other people in the Marine Corps. And you'd be like, oh, what a pussy. Oh, you weak? What the hell? You chicken, serve your country, unpatriotic. Come on. But there was a sense, you know, consciousness was kind of like, what the hell did I do? No, let me get out of here. No, I can't. But nope, you already signed. They pushed me through, took me, and I went through boot camp. So I was from New York. So being from New York, you get sent to Parris Island, South Carolina. They say that's where the real Marines come from. Instead of going to the West Coast, California, San Diego, they call them Hollywood Marines, the fake Marines. But anyway.
Yeah, that's the full metal jacket boot camp. So I think so.
yeah, the real one, South Carolina. But anyway, yeah. So basically went to boot camp, and yeah, it was interesting in hindsight. 19, well, I turned 20 because my birthday's in August. So I signed up, you know, at 19, went in at 20. But yeah, boot camp was interesting. I was a city boy. I had never really left New York's, you know, state, you know, maybe just gone to New Jersey, and being from Puerto Rico. My parents from Puerto Rico would fly down to Puerto Rico once in a while, but never really traveled a lot. That's one positive thing I can say from being in the military. It did take me places. So, you know, it was just basically a thing of breaking me down physically, emotionally, mentally. You know, they treated me like crap. You know, it's boot camp. They got to break you down. If you've seen the movie Full Metal Jacket, that's pretty realistic to how it was back then. I don't know. I hear they've changed a lot with, you know, in the last decade or two with social justice warriors, and that's politically incorrect, and you shouldn't do this and that. And I think it's gotten, you know, into the military somewhat. But yeah, back then, you know, it was all the disrespect stuff, insults, just to break you down, you know, emotionally, mentally, and physically. And I went in at about 190 pounds. And I graduated boot camp like at 158. So I was about 35 pounds or something, almost 40 pounds. But yeah, I went in thinner than I am now. But yeah, but they made me lose the weight. But yeah, it was intense. But yeah, I did the schooling, the training, and all that stuff, and got stationed in California. But during boot camp, it was interesting. That was in December. I went in, and January is when the operation started in the Middle East. And the psychological thing these guys do, CNN was on the air then in 90. And I remember them bringing out a TV with the cable hooked up, and the drill instructors were just so happy. They were like, oh yeah, you guys are in for it now. Oh yeah, you're going to get it. Oh yeah, the shit's going down now. And they showed the TV, you know, CNN showing the bombings and everything starting to happen in 1990, the first Operation Desert Shield, because right then it was like, oh, we're defending Kuwait kind of thing, you know, defending them from Saddam and from taking, you know, okay, fine.
Sure.
But yeah, they did that trauma thing on us to scare us, like, oh, look, you're going to go here. Yeah, this is what you're getting ready for. It's like, oh, shit. So, but luckily, that didn't last long. It was just a few weeks. You know, that was done within a month's time. So by the time we graduated, there wasn't any real, you know, combat going on over there. It was more of a cleanup thing. So we went to school. What they call MOS, military occupational skill. My job was an ammunition technician, or ammo tech. So that's the school they sent me for in Alabama. But, you know, so some of the guys that I graduated with from that school got selected to go over to the Middle East to clean up. And that must have been terrible, because I know a lot of the depleted uranium, the ammunition, they probably got exposed to a lot of crap. I was attached to what's called an artillery unit, the ones that shoot the howitzers, those big guns that shoot the thing, terrible, to be on the receiving end of that. I was attached to one of those units out of California. So I flew to California and I was waiting for my unit. My unit was still over there and coming, back by ship. So yeah, then when they came in, I met up with them, got with my unit, and luckily for the 3.5 years that I was in, it was a few months training and school and all that, 3.5 years, nothing really was happening. So I didn't have to face any combat. I wasn't in any situations where I, harmed anyone that I know of, because we weren't out in anything. Everything was just regular practice training in California. Twice we flew over to Okinawa, Japan for 6 months and get on a ship and float around, hit Guam, Singapore, Korea, things like that. So that was pretty cool, just to travel around. So that was, that was kind of the good part, the fun part. But yeah, the whole time I kind of knew it was like, yeah, just fulfill my contract of 4 years and then get out. And that's basically all I did. So, both times overseas to Okinawa, get on a ship, bounce around, and then come back to the States. And 1994, December, that was it. My contract was fulfilled. Yeah, they were asking, we'll give you a bonus here, signing bonus, extend and stay longer. It's like, nope, thank you. But yeah, lesson learned. And, I did learn some things from that. There was a lot of things of, the military, you could call it either strength, mentality, or the confidence, or the ego and conceit of, I'm military, I can do anything. And that was one of the bad things in there. There is a separation when I was there, where you have the military, you have the Marines, and then everybody else, the nasty civilians. It's like, you'll be a nasty civilians. And even between military, some of the cadence while you're running, making fun of Navy, Army, Air Force, Navy being all gay, the squids, get off your bunkie, follow me, it's like, what? And then Air Force being all soft, and Army being, so, even within the military, you got all this stuff that's like, wow, that's, but yeah, even how they look at, the civilians, nasty civilians. It's like nasty civilians because, eating burgers, fat, out of weight, beer drinking, whatever. They're not like us, all in shape and ass kickers. It's like, again, the psychological stuff is like, wow. And I know the police are pretty much the same way. They're all the band in blue, the family in blue, and then there's everybody else, but people don't see it that way. But yeah, so it was interesting. I remember one specific experience that I had that in hindsight showed me that mind control. And so since I was an ammo tech, I had to work in the armory where they, we keep all the rifles and guns and things like that. Well, whenever we're back at the station, at the base. And so I moved up in my ranks, from private, lance corporal, and I got out as a corporal or, close to sergeant. So I was kind of in charge of my section, and I had a few other people under me. One of them was like a lance corporal, and this was some kind of South country kind of white guy. But the mind control I noticed was one day in the barracks, I was, I'm like now, I keep to myself, quiet, even though I was in the Marine Corps, still the personality is there, but there was always bullies everywhere, So even in the Marine Corps, there was an event, something that happened in the barracks where one of the other Marines was kind of being an asshole to me, However, that guy that worked under me, that PFC, since he was a big, what they call cornbread eating guy, from the South, a big husky, country guy, but I was like his superior. He stood up and defended me, and the words out of his mouth were cool back then. I was like, yeah, I got my boy. But it showed the mind control. He said, you're not giving any problems to my corporal, are you? Don't mess with my corporal. And he was serious. So I was, back then, I didn't know anybody. I was like, cool, don't worry about it. It's cool. And the guy stopped bothering me. In hindsight later, that was a big indicator. I'm like, wow, look at the mind control. This guy was, I was his corporal. I was like his senior. He was going to defend. It's like, yeah, the camaraderie, brothership, that's one thing. But just the way he phrased it, my corporal, because it's that rank thing. It's that, it stood out to me as like mind control. It's like, wow, protect your senior officers or enlisted men.
Sort of part of the tech mentality.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that was interesting to me. But yeah, that, aside from that, everything else was, you know, good and bad. That was a little bit of like, wow. But yeah, the traveling was fine. Learning, weapons and things like that. That's cool. But yeah, just did the 4 years and I was out. And so I was lucky, fortunate that I didn't have to go and serve during a time of conflict, of active combat or anything. So yeah, but did 4 years and then I was out. So that was it.
Yeah, so that's interesting. That the fact that they actually that you have to sign in advance, like even before entering the basic training or boot camp. Maybe
Yeah.
that's kind
Well,
of
when they picked me up to go, when it was time to go, that's, I think I remember when we were at the, in New York at their, shipping station or whatever. And that's where they have the whole group that's leaving from there take the oath, put your hand up and
right.
swear to uphold the Constitution
Okay.
and all that. That's the oral thing. But before that, yeah, you do fill out the paperwork and sign that you're gonna, the contract. It's signing a contract for 4 years. So yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, because that's a difference between what happens here. You actually you're not actually. I mean, you can give up before going in. You can you just don't show up at the. You just don't show up at basic, and you are excluded, and that's it, pretty much. And even when you're in basic training, you have you have
So
the
it's
first.
voluntary. It's like a voluntary, or it's not mandatory. It's like just suggested that you should serve, and if you don't, then oh well, or what?
No, it's actually no. You make they when you are almost finished with the basic training, they make you give the oath, and sort of from that point. And again, it's the same before you sign. And then you give they make you give the oath and swear, etc. And from that point it's more difficult to leave, in theory,
Oh, okay.
until the end of your contract. But before that, even in basic, even in boot camp, you have like 2 weeks in which you can say, no, I had enough, I'm out, and they let you out.
Okay.
So maybe
I think over here too, I mean, if you really got to mess it up, either physically, either mess up, or I can't do it and cry and poop yourself and be all like, oh, where it is like that it'll be embarrassing for them to have you.
yes.
They'll put you as a dishonorable discharge, and that's something.
Yeah, that
Whatever kind of record book, whatever, military service, oh, you were dishonorably discharged, then that's kind of like a black eye kind of thing, like,
yes.
well, whatever other future jobs or endeavors you go to, if that's on your record or anything, they're like, ew, this is somebody we can't really trust, or he's a quitter, or so it has its consequences.
So yeah, so here on that side, it's not it's a little bit different. So I mean, if you want to go out, you'll find a way to go out. You'll have no really, unless you've done something, you committed a crime, you were in military court, etc. You're not, there's not really a dishonorable discharge. So that was interesting to note. Maybe they want to, since they need all this cannon fodder, they try to get you from the start. Maybe you have. But
that's an interesting area to touch on. Military, talking about the characteristics, people that are
yes,
not worthy, they're dumb order followers, they do whatever, screw them, send them out to the front lines, hey, they're blood sacrifice or whatever. Exactly. Or the ones who show a little bit of consciousness, not intelligence, maybe some intellect, they're smart, like, okay, these are people, they're recruiting. Everybody anywhere is recruiting, be it for military, secret, psyops, black ops kind of stuff, or different government agencies, the 3-letter alphabet agencies, or even some high up secret society stuff, And, we've seen movies that reveal a lot of that. That movie, The Good Shepherd, with Matt Damon, directed by
Yes,
Robert De
I've
Niro.
seen that. Yes.
Yeah, that shows paramilitary people, get them into the secret, areas, secret society, what is it, either Skull and Bones and all that, and then they create CIA and all that. But yeah, but that's just movies. People keep thinking that's movies, but sometimes reality, what is it? Art imitates life and life imitates art, but
Yes.
it's all one cycle. There's truths everywhere, whether, people want to believe it or not. But yeah. So, and you know what? Let's keep going here to tell you a little more about myself. This triggered another memory. Since I was in the military, I remember that twice, and I should look for it because I know I had it somewhere. I got a mess here. My computer desk, I got stacks of papers and crap all over the place.
Uh-huh.
But I remember twice. One time, many years after the military, like the late 90s or so, I received some kind of letter, an invitation to a type of secret society. And it's interesting because sometimes like, oh, that's just, that's fake. It's just a fraud. It's whatever. If you look on the internet, on YouTube or Google search or whatever, you type of secret society, recruiting letter, and a lot of it will come up fake, like, oh, that's a hoax. It's a hoax. It's fake. It's somebody putting your leg for money or whatever. It's like, well, is it? Maybe some are and maybe some aren't. And that's another way of, shaking the tree to see what shakes loose. The people who actually respond and believe in that start at the low level and then move your way up. And then it happened again, maybe 10 years ago or so. I received something else, after moving a few times here, I received something else for another kind of secret society thing. And I was thinking, you know what? All these secret societies that have names that people never even heard of, they could be legit. Because if you take stuff like football and baseball, professional athletic kind of big things, that doesn't just start there as an adult. That starts, you come down, you have like the college level, you have the high school level, you have even in elementary school, you have like the peewee leagues, they start little kids, So what's not to say secret societies are the same way? It's not just Freemasons, Skull and Bones. No, maybe you got the AAA, the minor leagues, the Pee-wee League are these little, societies here that's like, oh, that's a hoax. That's a little, no, that's their recruiting grounds. They see somebody who would respond and, jumps through the hoops and, oh, this person has good intellect, okay, they're good. And then they'll move you up to something else. And then something else. And next thing you know, it's like, oh, now they're in the majors. Now they are in the real Skull and Bones or in the real, Freemasons or the real, whatever, get into Trilateral Commission and all these other things. So if it exists in other areas that it's not just the big leagues, you got minor leagues and all this other stuff, what's not to say that's the same way with these secret societies, and since they have my prior military record, it's like, okay, here's somebody we can, boom. And you never know, once an order follower, you might have some people that their whole lives. In fact, at the post office, I work with a bunch of guys that spent 20 or 30 years in the military, retired from there, and then come work at the post office. And you still see them wearing the Marine shirts, the hats, the tattoos, and I'm not under that cult mind control, because on November 11, that's the birthday, I guess, of the Marine Corps. And I get some of the Marines that come up to me and say, happy birthday, Devil Dog. And I'm like, huh? What are you talking about? Like, it's Marine Corps birthday. I'm like, oh yeah, that thing. In my mind, I'm thinking, oh yeah, that mind control you're under. No, I'm not in that. I'm like, okay, yeah, fine, cool, whatever. See, there's still people, they've been retired from that, but that programming is so strong. That's good pickings for, these secret societies or, contractors or whatever. If they need mind control people to do some messed up stuff, hey, there's plenty of them out there, So that I wanted to bring that up. That came to mind. I was like, I remember that.
Oh, that was this is interesting. Yeah.
Because we wonder about where these people come from.
Yeah.
They come from us. Remember, we talked last time about what? Intent,
Yes.
People's intents. Like, oh, I got to put food on the table, take care of my family. Well, are you doing it for the right reasons, the wrong reasons? What are you willing to do? I don't care. I don't know these people. I'll kill them. I'll follow orders. Really, yeah. So it's interesting.
Uh, yes, exactly, and yeah, it's kind of the selection. It's a selection process,
Right.
screening process to see who's fit for the the
And you
upper
know how much easier
echelons.
it is now? You know how much easier it is now? Because remember, for the last 10 years or so, we have this internet. We have all
Yes,
this social media. So all our opinions and things that we put on
yeah,
Facebook and
it's
Twitter
all
and
out there.
everything else,
Yeah,
yeah, it's easier for them to just go through these profiles and be like, look, here's a radical leftist, Muslim, this, that, political, yeah, Christian. Man, they got your whole profile online, and they don't even have to do all the work for it. And they tell us that they do this too. We see all these Mission Impossible movies, Born Identity movies, and they go on the computer and they can bring up people's records, their
yeah,
histories of credit card, their web searches, their purchases, and all this stuff. And like, oh, this person's like this. This is the type of person we need. But can we convince them? Oh, we know that they visited this gay porn site. We know they went to a hotel and had sex with this person, whatever. Boom. Okay. Blackmail, da 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 da. Put some pressure on. You don't want this truth to come out, do you? Well, you're gonna do as we tell you. Okay. Boom. And there we go.
mm.
Easy as
Maybe
that.
somebody is a little bit out of his mind, etc., and comes from the Middle East. Could be a
The
potential.
radicalized people, yeah. Oh, they're coming to get you. They're coming to get you. They're
Could be
anti this.
a,
Better
a
hold them.
potential, false flag
Yeah,
puppet to no
that
somebody
too.
to can you can be blamed for some false flag over there. So
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
that's how they do it.
Yeah, I
Uh,
know you wanted to talk movies before. You said mention movies. That just brought up an old movie from like the 70s with Warren Beatty. It's called The Parallax View.
mm,
And a lot of people may not have known of this movie. It's very interesting, guys. It's kind of along those lines. It's like a journalist guy. He's investigating something he hears rumors about this organization that they get people in and kind of mind control them to do messed up things. And he's like, what the hell is that? So he tries to investigate it to uncover it. But, spoiler alert, I'm going to tell you the ending. It ends up his, sneaking around and poking into it. They kind of set him up to blame him for a false flag thing. You see, so this is back in the late 60s, early 70s. There's a movie already talking about this. Somebody investigating the stuff gets too close and they kind of set him up that they assassinate the person or do whatever thing. And then all the cameras and people, police, and they're like, look, this guy's here. He was investigating it. He just happened to be there at the wrong time, but he was set up to be there. And then he takes the fall and is like, boom, there you go. See, so somebody who had nothing to do with it, but they knew how to manipulate him and get him into a position where they could frame him, and bam. And how many times has that probably happened? Lee Harvey Oswald, I was a
yeah,
patsy, I was a patsy,
yeah,
So,
yeah. That's incredible. Just Lee Harvey Oswald. You just reminded me of the fact that even now people are actually wondering if Kennedy's assassination is somewhat dubious. What do you
uh-huh.
think?
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, I actually I wanted to. I had another question regarding the kind of the military experience there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, uh, so what you talked about kind of what your motivation to go in actually was. So
Blind, dumbass teenager following his friend.
yeah, following, yeah, because you have to you kind of you didn't know better really, and you followed your friend on the inside. But what would you say?
But you know what? There were some perks. I didn't use them. Well, maybe I did use one perk. Like, hey, there's a VA loan over here. They have what's called, you serve in the military, you get a VA loan, veterans,
Hmm,
loan. So to get a home, I
okay,
don't have to put money out of my pocket. They have the GI Bill. So if I wanted to go to school, they would pay for a bunch of that. So there are, quote unquote, a lot of benefits, and that's how they got a lot of people too. It's like,
hmm,
well, if you want to go to school and get a home and all that, come on, just serve, join, serve 2, 4, 6 years, whatever, and we'll cover that. Oh, that's cool. But you get a risk. The chances that if a war is going on or if something bad's going on, you get sent there. It's like,
yes,
yeah, they're going to send you there to kill and get killed. The priority isn't to pay for your home or your education. That's just, oh crap, okay, he survived, he's still alive, okay, we go ahead and do that. But there's a percentage thing. We got a whole bunch dying, but we got some surviving. Okay, we could spend some money on them here, whatever, and everything. So yeah, you gotta, people gotta look at it that way too.
Yeah. So you'd say, I mean, I think, the motivation was mainly economic for the people that were in there, or there was also some people that actually believed in what they were doing, patriotism and serving the country, protecting from, all the evils out there.
Yeah, when I was in, not so much the patriotism stuff. It's there, but not so much. Now, people after 9/11, yeah, a lot of people after 9/11, it was for that patriotism. Oh, I got to do something. I got to hit them back, the damn Muslims, terrorists, I got to, yeah, so that was a big factor there.
All right. No, because, yeah, because I was kind of comparing with what my experience was over here in the military, and the main reason is kind of economical, because they get most of the people there come from areas that are poorer, and they want to get.
Isn't that weird how that works out that way, huh?
Yeah.
Why aren't there so many rich people that join the military?
I wonder.
That's weird.
Yeah, so actually the police and the military are made up mostly of people coming from the kind of the more depressed economical areas. Even though now they're getting people from.
Correct, I guess you should say economically challenged. You can't call them poor, or right. Like economically challenged.
Yes. So. Yeah, so yes, that's the main thing that I found, almost like yours. Not so much because people really don't care about patriotism and all the stuff. It's more for they get them for the money again. That
isn't that funny? Didn't we talk about that last time? Right? Yes. People do all kinds of stuff for the money. Throw them enough money, and they'll do it.
And then they convince themselves that they are part of this
the
elite,
good guys,
separate. Yeah, not so much the good guys, but this elite separate class that it's separate from the civilian, field, so that it's there just complaining about how, about police bothering them at random checkpoints, but they don't understand that we are we keep them safe, and blah blah blah. We are the big strong guys, and they're the weaklings that need our protection. So yeah,
again, that's misdirected intention. I like that. I had to go back and listen to that again. I was like, what was that phrase I used? Because I just pulled that up right then and there, and I was like, that's good. I like that one. Misdirected intention. That's all over the place, especially in the military and police. Serve and protect, but the mind control gets in there for either the money or become a bully. That authority, that rush, like, hey,
that's a lot of it.
Uniform, that's the ultimate thing. That whole belief in authority thing. So, so the intention gets out the window. Instead of being balanced, do what's right. Be good. Non-aggression principle, do no harm, but take no shit. But people are like, nope, I'm going to do harm because I don't want to take any shit from anybody because I got a badge and uniform. Well, that's a completely wrong intention there.
Yeah. I have to say, if you see, especially even here, at least that's in my experience, when you have like the military living separated from the rest of the people in their barracks, it's true, they keep they are sent into whole other areas of the country, so they don't have connections with their friends, etc. And they just hang out with each other, and that's and that's it pretty much. So they have this separation.
There's that cult.
Yeah, the cult-like thing, but for the police forces, they even have more ways to let out that type of frustration against the rest of the civilians, because they have more opportunities to bully them. And that happens, in the military too, when we were asked to do we operated in a law enforcement, so to speak, capacity, because after all the false flags, the terror attacks in Europe, etc., and all the fear, etc., they put the military right in the street, to patrolling the streets, and stand on guard to various places. And I was involved in that, and that immediately, you have police, you have a sort of police powers, etc. You carry guns in public, and you can. No, not during my time, but now they can even stop people and make them open their bags in subway station, underground station, and whatnot.
That's all that social engineering, the fear, get people
Yeah.
used to that fear.
Yes,
Yeah.
but that I can almost say, even personally, you get a little kick out of it, because now look, I have powers over this these ignorant civilians here that don't appreciate us.
Guess what you just look at? I can compare what you just said now. Mark Passio mentioned that in one of his podcasts many years ago. Right there, you just described the traits of a secondary psychopath.
Yes.
This person wasn't like that before. They weren't born that way, but something was done to them. Something was told to them. They were put in a certain position, had a certain experience, and now that develops a form of secondary psychopathy. So they're like, no emotions. I don't care. Obey me. See, that's secondary psychopathy.
Yes, yes, and but the difference is, in some of us, you had that voice in the back of your mind to say, hey, what are you like? What kind of? I mean, what are you thinking? You have to take a step back.
There's a part from a movie again. That's Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction. The black guy, played by Ving Rhames, when he's talking to Bruce Willis about the boxing and taking the money and falling, during the fight. Yeah. He says something about, you're gonna have something in your head telling you not to do it, whatever. That's your consciousness fucking with you. Fuck consciousness. See? So that's the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, for many, in fact, many just didn't care. And I know now. I know by what I've been, told, say, off the record, so to speak, that actually, there were people on patrol, like in subway station, the military guys that actually they want that their hands were kind of itching for action, and they wanted to provoke. They found guys that were maybe a little bit out of their mind. This kind of people that you find in this. In subway station, bus station, and these kind of places. Mm-hmm. So they actually wanted to provoke this guy in order to then can beat him up and do this fucked up fucked up crap, and they
justify
did,
and
they did.
See? Yeah.
So that's what I've come to know, because and now they also. Sort of they give, as I mentioned, they give the military even more powers, like searches, like to make searches, to search people. We couldn't do that when I was doing that, but now because there is this emergency situation. They were after the Paris attacks, I think they give the military.
You know why? Because the gods on earth said so.
For our safety.
The government, your legislators, they went ahead and made a law and said before you couldn't do this, but then they're God, and they wrote something down, say now you can do it, and voila, now you can do it because the God said so.
Yeah. And if you look like countries like France, for example, I think they still have what they call the emergency measures, which is martial law, basically. Mm-hmm. And now, like police, and I think also the military can, the police for sure can now search your home without a warrant or do that sort of stuff, because there is the emergency situation, because they have, look how many times we've been attacked by Mossad and Muslim terrorists. Sorry,
that's the wrong M word. That's the wrong M word.
M word. Yeah. I take it back.
Your mistake. Yeah.
Yeah, my mistake. But yeah. Anyway, Yeah, and just wanted to say that actually even I can testify to the fact that power can get into your head and make you think that you have rights to the right to bother other people and to aggress on their privacy and look into their stuff, and just because you have the uniform and you're armed there and
Mm-hmm.
the stupid hat and whatever. So I can sort of testify to that. Well, now it seems that in the US they are not putting straight out the military into the street, but they're doing it with the militarization of police.
Correct. Yeah. Especially in the big cities, especially in New York. Yeah, New York is very big that way. So I'm kind of glad I'm no longer living in New York, because I don't know, my life would be completely different if I was in New York, knowing what I know now and being in the heart of, kind of all these tyrannical measures. I don't know, I'd probably be going insane over there, or I'd be in a lot of trouble, so.
Yeah, New York is kind of a tough ground for even for an American. I think you have, even on paper, there are some freedoms that are granted, even if that's just words on a piece of paper. But and so that's kind of where the joke and the mockery comes in, because you have cities like like or states like New York, I don't know, and cities like Chicago and the state of California, maybe, that for example, self-defense, talking about the self-defense principle, that you have the Constitution that actually I think it's supposed to be, I mean, state law cannot go against the Constitution officially, but you have like all this I don't know, what is it there, you are forbidden to carry firearms and weapons.
Yeah, they have stricter gun control laws, right? Yeah, and those are the places that have the higher crime rates.
Yeah.
But there's no coincidence there. There's no coincidence.
Yeah, in fact, so that must be even that must be quite hard for even for the American reality to say, wait a minute, I'm an American citizen, but I have to live like in New York, Chicago, these places, and I cannot exercise my even my constitutional rights. So I can understand I can understand that point. Oh, right. The last time we talked about the consent of the governed as a play on words. The word kind of word sorcery. And I had another thing in mind. What do you think about the whole direct democracy thing? Because that seems that it is being proposed as the solution by some, that we should have this direct democracy that would solve things, that is making people vote more often on the referendums and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
I don't know.
I think it's pretty much the same.
Yeah, it's the same. It's just another play on words. Direct democracy, what? Direct mob rule, instead of going through more procedures that are out of the people's hands, supposedly. Well, the people voted this. It's up to now to our representatives to, no, more direct is, if the people here decide, mob rule, this person should, let's take it to the extreme. Well, we think this person's guilty and they should die. Boom, the people just right there take him and kill him. That's direct democracy. Like, whoa, wait a minute. That's direct mob rule. It's like, hold on now. So that's how I see it,
Yeah, exactly. I think that's another false solution, another pseudo solution.
And that one's tricky too, because I don't know if according to natural law, living by natural law, whatever, I don't know what would be a punishment for someone that commits some kind of crime. And that's part of the argument. That's what's difficult to, like, we're here and then we got to get to there. So it's difficult for people to comprehend how living in a future, or in a, remember this word, utopia, living in a time where everything is different, but with the mindset that we have now, people find it difficult to visualize that. They don't have that imagination, or creativity, or open to it. And that's the thing, that, it's a progression. It's not just overnight. It's people like you and us learning, taking this in and changing how we think, and that spreading to the critical mass. And when you have a critical mass, a majority of the people thinking that way, then, the actions and things, change, because you see them differently and you can comprehend why things are done or not done, So I don't know, that's the main kind of solution to changing a lot of this fear thing, all the criminals and all the rapists, the murderers, the thieves. But it's a thing where, wait, that narrows down if in a society the consciousness changes, where people's consciousness raises and you see people as equals and non-aggression principles applies, then don't steal from others, don't harm others, don't kill others. See, so that group of the negative ones, the quote unquote criminals, that should start shrinking, so it's not based on the punishment. And that's what this society is based on now, that we gotta, cut all their hands off, or electrocute them all, or kill them all, and that's gonna stop them from doing it. It's like, no, that's that. Who were they? There's this symbolizes some mythological thing. I know Passio talked about it. You got either Isis or Iris or something. So the goddess. You got the goddess Isis, and then the other one, and it's one learning through Osiris or something. Yeah, where you learn the lesson, the easy way through knowledge and comprehension, or you learn it the hard way, the fire thing. Don't put your hand in the fire on the stove. Somebody
left hand path, I think.
Yeah, somebody can tell you and say, hey, this is what happens if you do that. Don't do that. Like, oh, okay, and they think it through and like, yeah, that does make sense. Or the other people that think, I don't believe you. No, you're lying. I don't believe you. And they put that in the fire and they get burned. So they learn the hard way. So it's that same kind of mentality, punish people, learn that lesson, or teach people, wait, is that something you want done to you? No, then maybe you shouldn't do it to others. Oh, you're kind of right. Yeah, that would suck. That would hurt. I don't want that done. So see, they don't have to go through the experience, the painful, violent, traumatic experience, or commit the crime, to learn that it's wrong. See, so there's different ways of getting to the same destination by different routes. And this society just wants to go through the pain and suffering route, like, no, punish them. Fear, trauma, violence, all this. Like, well, there's another way to learn the lesson, and there are not too many people that want to do that. And that misdirected intent, that some other side of people that don't want to do it, the harsh way, the materialistic way, the real world way, the learn your lesson way, that falls into what Passio calls that new age bullshit way. It's like, no, never get offended, never use violence, never do it. It's like, no, they're right. You shouldn't harm others, but it's for the wrong reasons. That's just demasculating and putting everything into the sacred feminine, and there's not a balance there. The ones in control stay in the masculine, using force, or violence, and then everybody else is in the sacred feminine of just care and nurture and never defending themselves. So that's how that, misdirected intent gets used up there too. So.
I had to say, it's this. It's this balanced. It's this the fact that we need balance. The center path. Walking the center path. It's something that it's really. It seems hard to believe for people like us, let's say. But it's really, I have noticed it's something really, it's really hard to make people understand, because they're being so polarized say, no, the center is bullshit. It's this way or that other way, and usually ends up in violence, blah, blah, blah. Usually we need punishment because, there are people that will never learn, so you need to punish them and whatever. So I don't know if you find that the same, maybe talking to people that, are not in the know, so to speak. Because I actually found this. I talk about, you have to have balance, left brain, right brain, and masculine and feminine. And it seems that they have a hard time, accepting that it's possible to be balanced. Actually,
Right. Yeah.
Yes, not aggression against others, but also the self-defense part. And usually they say, "Oh no, that's yes, but you have to do that according to law." And you go, "Oh my God."
Well, yeah, that comes up. I if you said you've listened to most of my podcasts or all of them, yes. I think I touched kind of on that. There was that example, or not example, but as you're speaking, I'm thinking of how the mind works. People don't comprehend how the mind works, and again, there's like a new age deception or misdirected intention. Remember, I think in the podcast I mentioned about meditation, and that's about bringing the two hemispheres of your brain in balance, or your left brain, the logic side, masculine, and your right brain, the imaginative, creative, the feminine, and balance. And meditation does that. And we talk Italian, Latin, Spanish, we talk about el medio, the middle, el medio. So that's meditation, the middle. So that's what it's about, being in the middle. And what's in the middle? They talk about the third eye, the pineal gland, but that's the balance of that, the balance of the masculine and feminine energies, the balance of the creative and logical side, the balance of the masculine and feminine. See, so it's there. But again, people don't see it that way. It's all just left brain, logic, strength, materialism, all this, that. No, and then the other side, feminine, just care, just meditate, and no. It's a balance of both, and it's in the words, and it's about that holistic thinking, using both parts of your brain. Same thing with intellect and intelligence. Generative side, intellectual side, together, intellect, intelligence. That's it. It's a balance of the two. So these are things you and I know, and we can kind of apply to ourselves. We can catch ourselves, and sometimes we might get emotional, or sometimes we're like just reacting to something in the material world, or but we know this, and we can kind of bring ourselves back. Imagine the people who don't know this. They just constantly go just with the emotion, or go with the materialistic, logical side, and there's no balance. There's no intelligence,
Yeah, that can lead to also some, beliefs that are quite erroneous, and that has been also lots of propaganda behind it. And for example, I was talking to someone that it kind of, we were agreeing for most of it, and then it comes out that he said, well, the problem is, what the problem is? The problem is we are too many. And I say, hey, watch out, because this is the mind control of the media mainly that has told you that we are too many, so we need to be,
overpopulation.
Population need to be reduced.
Yeah, Georgia Guidestones, 500 million, like,
Yeah, exactly. And I see, even people that, are maybe agreeing on quite a few things, but here comes the mind control that they are still subjected to. Like, hey, the problem, what you're saying, it's all well and good, but we are too many to teach this. We are too many, so not all these many people can get these principles. And population need to be. We should be. We should be fewer. We should be. There should be a lower population. I said, watch out, because that's exactly where they got you with their mind control on this side.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's all made to accept, the culling of the population. So so even people that are somewhat conscious about things, need to be. They need to actually to study a little bit more. how the occult mechanisms and the mechanisms of power works.
Yeah, it's that holistic approach. Yeah. They're not holistic. They'll agree with you on 9/11, the Federal Reserve, JFK assassination, moon landing or something. But then there's some areas they just won't go there. They're not holistic. They just, focus in one part or whatever, they agree with. And then anything else is like, it's like, no. Again, Passio, he's right. 2 mistakes to make on the path to truth, not starting or not going all the way. So many people have started, but not a lot of people are going all the way. They reach a point and they stop,
Yeah. And I think that was attributed to Buddha. There's a Buddha quote. Yep. And an interesting thing that's Buddha, Buddhism. There's I think that was in Buddhism that life is suffering.
Yeah, mistranslation or again misdirected intention.
Yes, because
like life life what is it? Not consist of suffering. Life what is it? Life contains suffering or something. It includes suffering, but it's not all suffering.
So in fact, and you have these religions like Buddhism and Christianity. One is life is suffering, and in Christianity is that we are all sinners, so we kind of get what we deserve. Since the moment you're born, you have evil in you.
Yeah, you're a born sinner. Accept Jesus Christ as the Lord and Savior, and you'll be rewarded in the afterlife.
Exactly, and you'll be surprised how many people claim they are atheists. And they don't believe in this is nonsense. But yet, what they think, life is suffering, and man is inherently evil. So here, the mind control, even the atheist that think is so advanced intellectually, he still have this. He still accepts the
belief. They still have a religious belief.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or like people that say that they are not spiritual, that they don't believe in all that, but yet. This is true, especially over here. But yet, hey, self-defense. Oh my God, no! You have to call the police and do things according to law. That means you die, and then so nobody can then prosecute you for for having defended yourself. So they say no, spiritualism, New Age. I don't believe in that yet. No, don't ever use force because they equate force to violence.
Mm-hmm.
So that's this mental schism, as I call it, in these people, and well, if I can mention one more thing, one thing I've noticed, at least over here, I was searching for some anarchists. People that actually see if there were some blogs or websites that talked about anarchy, and I found some which that again are I think are they are on point on many things, but I've noticed, I don't know if this is the same in your experience, but sort of there's this. I've noticed that you cannot talk, like solutions, like for example, not having a government power class and authority above you, and then it goes kind of hand in hand with conspiracy stuff, because you have to understand the various mechanisms and the various methods that they use, false flags. Mental manipulation, mind control, and mental manipulation, and all that. And I've noticed that and they're kind of instead they are kind of separated. There's the anarchists that talk about theoretical, kind of more academical stuff about not having a government. Why is good? Why? But they tend to shy away from the so-called conspiratorial stuff, which is actually the study of how the mechanisms of power actually work. And the guys from the conspiracy community, let's call them, they are actually still think that voting it's a solution. They have their maybe they usually they still advocate for some party or whatever. So I was wondering if you witnessed, if you have experience of this dynamic, or
Yeah. I think we mentioned something similar to that in the first interview, that I pointed out the minarchist. You got the minarchist, minimal, just a little bit of government. They're anarchists, but no minarchists, just a little bit of government. Yeah, many years ago when I first started my meetup group, I remember a couple of people that would talk about the conspiracies and how everything's all terrible and all that.
Yeah,
but like you said, we need to vote in the right people. We need to go libertarian, or it's like, I don't know. There wasn't much talk about anarchy. When I first started, at least the meetup groups and meeting with people, it's been in the last 5 years or so that it's really, at least for me, that I've picked up on that, and the whole, no masters, no slaves, that's really the base of it. And I haven't really, it's difficult to talk to people with that, because it's, I don't know. Yeah, that's a big, I don't want to say trigger, but it's a big identifier. When you get there, you can see where their mind's at, the program that they're running. That, again, they're selective. If they're people that are like conspiracy theorists and stuff, 9/11, everything. But without government, what? No, what? Just we need to go back to backing the dollar with gold, and the Federal Reserve, and put the right people in office. And it's like they still have a form of cognitive dissonance. So it's difficult, but like we've said before, it's a thing of putting all that different information out there and letting people take it in when they can at their own pace, but just still present that, because eventually hopefully they'll get it, but we can't force them to get it, so I don't know.
It just I think that the two need to kind of go together. the study of the more conspiratorial study and the comprehension of anarchy as a real solution, and not just as Molotov throwing chaos and raping in the streets, etc. Have to go, and the conspiracy theorists have to let go of their of their statism, because they actually they will continue to play the power, the agendas of power. And the anarchists need to be a little more wised up to stuff like 9/11 and this sort of stuff.
Right. That goes back to what I said, holistic thinking. Yes. They need to take everything in, because they're still on one side of the fence, just I believe this and that's it, or I believe that and that's it, instead of looking at the whole picture. So
All right, we have covered a lot of stuff also in this part. I was wondering if we have a little bit of time left to sort of start to talking about a little bit about solutions, more what would be in theory more practical solutions, even if this is maybe a more advanced solution, seeing the state of consciousness that we are living in. You've introduced in your podcast this concept of the helpers, which is an acronym. What was it? Human evolutionary lead person, emergency response service. And I think that would be that we are talking, real practical applicable solution. Maybe, as I said, a little bit advanced, but can you unfortunately, but can you talk about this concept in closing?
Oh man, that's an idea I had a few years ago, and again, that's something, just listening to all the conspiracy theories, the truth movement stuff, a lot of the podcasts, Mark Passio stuff, and just everybody gathering all the information, and putting it together. It's like, Well, people need to know this stuff. And yes, all the YouTube videos, documentaries, podcasts, and all that's fine. That's good because that's helping get information out. Not as much as the mainstream media, constant 24/7, you know. But I was thinking, hey, maybe something locally, little groups that get together that know the basics, and there are basics that can be known. They're very huge basics, the knowledge of natural law, non-aggression principle, all that stuff. But it is basic stuff that can be taught if we learned it, and it is truth that's out there to be discovered, and we just need to align to that truth. Yeah, it's just a matter of getting together with people and sharing that with that intention, not like intention of people coming through and saying, oh, I already read that book. Oh, I already saw that documentary. I heard this podcast. I know this already. It's like, no, no, no. This is about actually working on your mind, working on yourself, on narrowing down the causal factors, the heart of the problem, what we need to change. And it's not creating new things. It's basically stopping a lot of the stuff, stop thinking and doing a lot of things that have been done that got us here, and spreading that in numbers. More people thinking that and learning that and accepting that, aligning to that can be a good foundation. So, just came up just thinking, well, what's going on? What's actually going on? Well, humanity is in a state of emergency, a present condition, polluting the planet, killing the planet, everything with our food, air, and water. Okay, who's doing it? It's humans, okay, it's us humans doing it. We have, quote, leaders, religious, political, leaders and educational leaders, whatever, but that's really part of the problem. So, if we're going to teach people, a real teacher is someone who leads someone out of the darkness of ignorance into the light of knowledge. So that's where lead person comes in, not lead person like I'm your president, I'm your governor, senator, president, boss, whatever. No, I'm someone with some knowledge that will take you out of ignorance into the light. Here, grab my hand and I will lead you that way. That's it. I will show you what you need to learn. And then emergency response services, or just emergency responders, like I said, because it is an emergency. Oh, and the first E, human evolution. Well, it is an evolution because we're de-evolving right now, basically. We're dying off, getting sicker, the consciousness is going down. It's like people mutating, different cancers and all these sicknesses that didn't exist 100 years ago or 200 years. That's a de-evolution. So we want to try to evolve humanity, evolve the conscious, raise it, get healthy, and that people need to be led in that direction. So that's why human evolutionary lead person, emergency responders. So that's what it is, responding to this emergency, not just, I'm on Facebook, keyboard warrior, end of reserve, fuck government, blah, blah, blah. Okay, what's that doing? Nothing. If we have knowledge, we do need to share it with others and teach it. So that's the basic starting point of what helpers can and should be, or anything similar to it. All over the world, people can start this. I'd like to see it start. But eventually, like everything else, I want to see that out there. I got to kind of do it myself. And I'm sure there are some groups out there that are doing something similar to that, and that's good. We just need to know more of it and unite, organize, get networks going and all that kind of stuff. And eventually, the scary part that it's too early to talk about is when you get close to a critical mass or, a good chunk of people, either in cities, states, nations, or worldwide, when you get a big number that starts recognizing the slavery that's occurring and who's doing it, that's when real evolutionary actions will come into play, and, not calling for bloody revolution, civil war kind of thing. It's just a logical progression of, hey, this is wrong. What's being done is wrong. It should stop doing that. And if people are conscious, they're like, yeah, our bad. We rode this for thousands of years. Time to stop. Yeah, okay, fine. Hey, that's the easy knowing right and wrong thing and transitioning. However, not that it's human nature. It's just what's the program? People got to kind of be, if we're being kept in control mostly by subtle mind control through education, religion, and politics, government stuff, But when we get out of line, what happens? The theft, taking property, the taking your movement restrictions, your liberty or freedom of movement, you're being locked up in a cage, or you're being tased or shot or killed.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the way that we're being controlled or enslaved, then wouldn't you think the law of rhythm would dictate, okay, in order to be free, you give the warning, the declaration, stop, we're no longer complying, let us be, and we'll all be cool. And if that doesn't happen, then guess what? To break free, to end it, it's going to probably take, taking of their properties, their materials, whatever, locking them up, tasing them, whatever, leading up to eventually. I mean, it's that saying, what's good for the goose, good for the gander, So, do unto others as you want done unto you.
Yeah,
okay, well, shit, if they're giving us orders and if we don't comply, they're harming us and killing us. Oh, well, maybe that's what you want. Leave us alone. No? There you go. I'm not advocating that that's the way it has to be. It doesn't have to be that way. It's just that's the logical thing. It's just that's how reality works. You use common sense, logic, you're spiritual about things, whatever, and you just do what's right. In nature, I always compare it with a boulder, a big old boulder on a cliff or on whatever. You leave it alone. You stay out of its way. If you mess with that boulder and it rolls and squishes you, you're going to get mad at the boulder and blame the boulder. Oh, that boulder was evil. No, you messed with a part of nature and it rolled on you. So that's the same thing. Humanity, 7 billion plus whatever. It's that boulder sitting on a cliff, and a few elites and power-hungry tyrants and whatever, psychopaths and all that, poking with that boulder, but they're not messing with it much to make it move. That's humanity there. Humanity's just staying still.
Yeah.
Hopefully, maybe not. They can be left alone and everything's fine. But it might get to the point where that boulder is messed up with, and it's going to roll and squish what's messing with it. So that's basically humanity, the 7 billion, doing what needs to be done against the small little less than 1% that's suppressing it.
Tiny dot.
And the tiny dot, exactly. Larkin Rose's tiny dot video. Yeah. So that's basically, and that's the idea behind like helpers. It's that just to get that little, rumbling going, that little tone, that little of people sharing information, and then it'll grow. Hopefully grow bigger and bigger. And yeah, they get the order followers to quit their coats. And it's like, oh, wow, this is much better. And, expanding a lot of like the Venus Project and Zeitgeist movement, they have good ideas, but there's still kind of things in there that is like iffy, all based on computer controlling this and a few control. No, but they do have good concepts of how to work together and using technology and in balance with, nature and resource base and all that. All that's good knowledge to throw in with the spiritual, the creative, the imagination. So that's part of the natural law, teaching natural law, the balance of, the physical and the spiritual, materialistic and but yeah, it's all out there. I don't know everything, but I have a good idea of like, maybe something like this, something like that. And that's all it takes is some ideas and for that to spread and people know what's right and stop doing a lot of the things that we're doing. And that's basically it. That was basically the short summary of what, the helpers could and should be.
Do you think something like they did in the US? There was like cop block.
Cop block. I think they're out of business, or I think they got shut down, didn't they? Because I know there was a few of those places in the last year or two when they did that big, Alex Jones thing, shutting some of his channels down and a few other channels. I know Cop Block and a few others were the ones that kind of went by the wayside, and maybe they changed names and went to other networks. But yeah, that kind of stuff, accountability. Yeah. I remember calling into one of Pasio's shows in the beginning when I first started calling in and giving the example, usually with the traffic. Always hear the biggest thing that you can see, the control, the tyrannical control and enslavement is usually through traffic laws. You know? I remember giving the example of, wouldn't it be nice to see when you see driving on the road and a police car turns the sirens on and they pull a car over, if everybody else that's on the road at that time, they stop, they all pull up right there, boom, right to where that cop's at. What are you doing? What's going on? Why are you doing this? See, that's the account. That's everybody aware. What the hell's going on? Why are you being a highway, highway, what is a highwayman? They're
Highwayman.
stealing.
Yes.
That's all it is. Highway robbery. It's highway. Yeah, that's where that term came from. The highway patrol. Yeah. Oh, you busted tail light or your registration tag's expired. $200. Boom. $500. Boom. Just stealing money for no reason.
Yep.
You're getting uppity. You're answering back. You're disrespecting the badge and authority. Up. Get out. You're under arrest. Tase you. Kill you. Whatever. No, but they do that because see, the answer is right there. You can tell how things are set up. If you look at how police respond to an incident, they have one or two people, suspects, and if it looks like they might be outnumbered, the two cops there, the one or two cops, what do? They call for backup. And then it's usually 4, 6, 8, 10 police officers for two people because they know they have the numbers and the mind control of the respective authority. Now, shit, again, you go to the tiny dot or logic, just common sense. How many actual police are in every city or state compared to the citizenry or the humans or the regular people? They're outnumbered, and what was that movie, that cartoon David Icke references, A Bug's Life? You got A Bug's Life, the thing with the ants and the grasshoppers. And what the grasshopper says, these ants outnumber us 1,000 to 1. If they ever, realize that, there goes our way of living. Boom, that's it. The police know, or these, people, cult of order followers know that the slaves outnumber them 1,000 to 1. That's why it's important to keep the mind control going. If the slaves ever realize that, boom, anytime someone's pulled over or the police are doing something, you get all those people to react and like, hey, what the hell are you doing? Like that Michael Gardner guy, whatever, in New York that got choked. Everybody's there with the cell phone recording. Nobody's kicking the police in the head saying, hey, you're freaking hurting them. What the fuck, get off them, blah, blah, blah. That's really what would happen human on human. Hey, leave them alone. What the hell you do? But since it's a cop, somebody in a perceived position of authority, no, we don't do that. Oh, well, let the justice system figure it. No, it's a criminal justice system for a reason. It's called criminal justice system. It's not a free, independent, civilian, human justice. No, it's for the criminals. It's set up for criminals to receive justice. Come on, it's in the name. But yeah, so that's, again, common sense stuff. And they just know how the things are set up. So first is breaking down the mind control and people knowing, right from wrong. And then putting it into action, so that's what I see. And I'm kind of the, that kind of mindset and speech, talking like that, that's the stuff that makes dangerous people to the system, to the establishment.
Yes. They call you a subversive. even though in actuality, actually they are the one that are subverting natural, the natural order of things, natural law.
Right. Yeah, because I'm one of the ones that just wants to be left alone and wants everyone else to be left alone.
But see, you don't care about the common good if you want to be left alone.
Oh, yeah. See? Yep.
Yeah.
There was one thing I wanted to add.
Yes, sure.
I forgot, though. This is another extreme thing. Oh, I'm a subversive.
Yeah.
Again, going to an old movie from like 1986, 87, I think. An old Arnold Schwarzenegger movie that's not too many people remember, called Raw Deal, where he was an FBI agent and he got the raw deal. There was, some criminal guy, mobster, gangster guy or something was, almost killed this girl. He raped, murdered, or mutilated the girl or something like that. And since Schwarzenegger was the FBI guy, he just went off on the guy and beat him to shit, whatever. But the legal FBI officers are like, oh, you can't do that, whatever. So the prosecutor gave him an offer of resign or be prosecuted. So he resigned and went to a small town and became a sheriff. Fine. That's the history of his character. But as the movie goes on, something else happens at the FBI and his old boss, reaches out to him because, the old boss's son gets killed by these mafia guys. So he goes to Schwarzenegger to bring him back to infiltrate the mafia and destroy it and blah, blah, blah. So it's a whole action kind of story, drama, fine. The thing that stood out for me that resonates with this is by the end of the movie, Schwarzenegger approaches that same prosecutor that kicked him out of the FBI and gives them this offer. And it's a messed up offer, but it's realistic. I'm like, that's what needs to be done. Obviously the prosecutor was, is an attorney guy, but he was on the take for the mafia and all that stuff. So he was corrupt and dirty. So Schwarzenegger gives him the same option that he gave him. He hands him a gun and says, resign or be prosecuted. And I thought about that. I was like, man, that's where humanity needs to get. The free people, the humans, the regular people, the consciousness needs to rise to a point where it's free enough and in such a critical mass that it's in control or has enough power that it can make that offer to the ruling elite and their order followers. Say, look, we're no longer playing this game. Things are changing. Resign or be prosecuted. Give up your positions of authority, give up all these systems of control, and you can come back, with your families and be among us and fine, hey, just, don't do wrong and learn non-aggression principle, natural law. Fine. You can give that option. If you choose not to, you will be prosecuted, and not prosecuted. Who knows? Maybe, prosecuted, we not control the jails or whatever and lock you up and whatever. Or who knows? The critical mass of humanity might be like, hey, be prosecuted means you killed millions upon millions of people, caused the death, starvation, suffering of so many countless of people. Why do we even need you around? So look, sign or be prosecuted. I mean, that's natural law. Think about it. Anything in nature, if it's in harmony with nature, it thrives, it lives, it survives. If anything is in conflict with nature or against nature, it gets sick, it gets ugly, it gets whatever, and nature eventually eats it up and destroys it, because nature is just about evolving, growing, that whole cycle of life. So it's like a disease, a virus. If it's wrong, it gets, the cancer tumor thing, and they block it off and then it just dies and the whole thing dies. So I don't know. That seems kind of part of natural law to me. Right now, everything's been unnatural, letting the negative keep going, letting the disease keep going, the sickness, the infestation, the slavery, all this stuff's going on. That's not natural. So eventually it's that, that teapot thing. It's the pressure is building and building and building. And that's why they got to let off some steam. It's like, oh, social justice warriors. Oh no, there's some movies telling the truth. Oh no, look, this one politician, he's libertarian or he's against it. Yeah, that's just letting off little steam to try and keep everything the same. Because, like I said, if you get to that critical mass where everybody knows what's going on, it's not going to be a pretty day for people that still want to stay in control. So, that's how I see it.
Yeah, and that's also the ending of the Lord of the Rings, the book, when they go back to the Shire and they say to the thugs, that the bullies that are there, that that Saruman put there, and they say, we don't want bloodshed, so you can leave, or otherwise we will, we are putting an end to this, and we are taking back the Shire from. So it's kind of the same thing. Yep. And we should do that probably with a Schwarzenegger voice. Maybe that will help too. I don't know.
Yeah. Resign or be prosecuted.
Yes. All right.
See, we got to work in quite a few movies, even in the regular conversation and everything. Movies in the last 100 years, they're like the books and, scrolls and, hieroglyphics of the last thousands of years. Exactly. There's truth of reality and everything in movies. And these filmmakers know what they're doing. It's just the audience doesn't really know how to decode it. There are a lot of movies that, people can sense there's something in there, and then it's done, 2 hours gone, just go home and watch regular stuff, sports and news, and go about making your money. They don't take in all the allegories, metaphors, or whatever messages are in there of truth, so
that's passive, the passive viewer, and I know so I hope with the movie and book thing, I hope it will be continued on another occasion. If you want, and I think for this time, I think this was good enough for this time, and so.
Let me plug in one thing then before we go.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I know it's what's today, the 8th, right? March 8th. So Yeah, I don't know how long it'll take you to edit this and put it out, but just to put it out there, I was approached by a few guys from here, local in Arizona. They're putting a conference together for the end of this month on Saturday, March 30th, and they invited me to speak. And this will be the first time I'm speaking in public. It's a short, one-day thing from like 10 a.m. to 5 in the afternoon. They have about 8 or 9 speakers lined up, and I'm one of them. And each speaker is going to have just under half hour to speak, 20, 25 minutes. So, I'm working on a presentation now, got a good idea of what I'll be speaking on.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, if people get a chance, if this is out on time and they're local to Arizona or, the neighboring states, they can go online and look up anarchyzona.com. So it's anarchy, A-R, and what, A-N-R,
yeah, that's gonna be, that's gonna be most likely subtitles, so it's gonna be written. So.
Okay, yeah, so it's anarchy zona. So instead of the Y for anarchy,
Yeah.
it's an I and then zona for Arizona. So anarchy in Arizona, and it's posted on my website, freeyourmindaz.com. And that's for Saturday, August 30th. And I know they're going to be recording it. So if you're not able to make it to the event, that's fine. Hopefully sometime, a few weeks or a month or two afterwards, the videos will be online. I know whatever video I get, I'll probably put it on my website and share it. So yeah, so that's going on. I'm kind of nervous and excited to be speaking for the first time, but yeah, it should go pretty good. So that's it. I want to plug that.
Congratulations, and I kind of saw that coming. I say, because you have interesting things to say. So I actually I saw that coming. That you will be invited to speak at some conference, which I think it's even if it's just some people say it's just talking and the critics. But hey, what you gonna do, right? The state of consciousness and awareness the world is in. So
right, planting the seeds. The seeds. If it's just one or two people there that hear something that gets stuck in their head and they investigate on their own and then do something about it, and that's part of the that's part of the answer. Actually, that's the solution, is putting stuff out there to get people to think and change how they think and stop doing what they're doing and do something with it or do something about it. So that's where we are, What, 10, 20 years, you weren't thinking about interviewing a guy from Arizona on a podcast or a web, right? You didn't, what the heck was that? We didn't know anything. So.
Yeah. So, and for, somebody that might have listened to this and it's here in Italy, if you also, and if you can understand English, you also have a podcast, Ivan. So, that it's found on your website, freeyourmindaz.com. So if people want to listen to the podcast, it's interesting stuff. So I recommend people listen. I guess I'll thank you for once again having told to us, and see you on another occasion.
Let's do this soon. Let's do this again in a few weeks or next month or something. Give you an update as to how the talk goes up in Sedona at the conference, and we can do some movie stuff.
We'll get into
an hour or so, and just
we'll get into movie land.
Can look at movies a whole different way. They can look at it and be like, "Wow, I never noticed that was there." It's like, it's always been there.
Yeah, that should be interesting. Okay, it's a deal.
All right.
So goodbye.
All right. Good night, man.